Hey everybody, welcome to video number 5. This is information videos trying to help the world. My intention here is to educate and inform and help people break out of the complete fucking slavery system that's been created all around us. And today's topic is fake youth movements and how the fake counterculture is created and steered by billionaires. How this works, why it works, and what the effects of it are on the human psyche. Now, basically, technocrats and billionaires spend a huge amount of time studying human nature and how the human psyche, human perception, and human thought processes work, because that is the fundamental key that allows them to control every single facet of society and reap the harvest of everyone's intellect, everyone's work and energy, everyone's sexual energy, everyone's money, and control the world and live a life of total opulence and decadence while everyone else is basically slaves that consume their media, consume their education system. Every thought that's in the common person's head is given to them by someone else. And their individuality and intellectual capacity and spiritual power is completely co-opted because their whole operating system, all the thoughts they think, all the vocabulary that they use, all the politically correct terminology, everything is programmed and put into them to control their thought patterns like sheep in a pen. And anyway, so the key aspect of this has to do with the human development and how the individuation process occurs so that when kids start to hit puberty, they start to individuate and they start to feel a need to basically branch out and go beyond the parental authority that's been set for them. And this is a natural thing. It's like a force of nature. And so governments and technocrats and billionaires create fake youth movements in order to steer that rebellious tendency and basically have individuals think that they're rebelling and breaking out of authority, while in actuality they're doing exactly what the elites want them to do and preparing for the changes in culture that the elites want to have over the next 10, 50, 100 years. And it's a staged plan, and every generation gets a new set of programming. So, fake youth movements, okay? All fake youth movements are actually consumer movements. And let me demonstrate what I mean. The big fake youth movement that's been going on right now is festival culture. For me, that's what I see. Festival culture and political correct social justice warrior shit. Those are two things. So festival culture is basically a complete rehash of the fake hippie culture from the 1960s and 70s. And basically it's all about getting everyone into drugs, into frivolous and promiscuous sex, and out of any kind of family unit. And because family units, as even Confucius said, thousands of years ago, the family unit is the basis of all society. And if the family unit's fucked up, society is fucked up. If the family unit is strong and, families support each other, share common values, the youth supports the elderly teach the youth, and the values that made society strong and made people free through agriculture. Agrarian culture gives everybody freedom because they produce their own food. They keep themselves safe from wildlife and predators, which is a good training to keep themselves safe from tyrannical governments and oppressive police state and total surveillance, which we now live in, right? So if this agrarian culture is allowed to persist, then fascistic governments and authoritarian centralized control structures can never exist. Even money would be completely unnecessary if we had an agrarian society, because it would just be a barter trade and mutual aid system such as existed for thousands of fucking years. And so anyways, the point is, so just like the fake hippie culture was created, now we have this fake festival culture. Have you ever been to a festival? Oh my fucking God. Here in Santa Barbara, we have Lucidity Festival. What is this? You pay $300 to go see a bunch of shitty techno and a couple actual instrumental bands that frankly are not that good. And basically what you do is you pay $300, you go in, everyone's on drugs, and you're paying, $7 for a mate or $12 for a fucking sandwich. Everything's consumerism. It's all about product. $200 t-shirt or fucking, literally, this is totally insane. Like but yet it's marketed as, oh, it's a transformational festival. It's all this, oh, spirituality and new age, and it's all, no, dude, 100% fucking consumerism of useless garbage. And it's a prefabricated identity that they're trying to sell everyone through consumerism. But yes, somehow these people still going in there, oh, I'm spiritual, I'm rebellious, I'm countercultural, I'm going against society. No, you're fucking not. You're buying a consumerist bullshit just the same as ever, and you're being sold a prefabricated identity that you're going to try to fit into and see who can have the most fucking sacred geometry designs on their fucking clothes and crystals around their neck and fucking complete fucking clones, dude. 100%. And it's all around drugs. You know what they do with Lucidity Festival? They fucking make millions of dollars and buy cocaine. That's literally what it is, dude. It's not spiritual, okay? And with all these transformational festivals, you know what the transformation is? They bring a bunch of people from fucking LA and San Francisco out into some pristine natural location and fill it up with their fucking garbage. They're transforming this nature and this natural hippie life that they're supposedly living and transform it into a shitty suburb for fucking 72 hours. And then they pay someone to come in and clean up all the spoiled little children's garbage. And meanwhile, they're all taking drugs and being fucking programmed with nonsense, wrecking their lives, getting STDs, spreading it around, fucking having frivolous sexuality, and destroying any potential for a fucking healthy psyche that they may have. And this is just one example, okay? But like this goes back. Like in my childhood, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and we had breakdancing. You know, we had breakdancing and hip hop. The original hip hop was much different. It was in the initial phase for 5 or 10 years. It was a socially transformative influence on the inner city youth and giving them freedom, giving them creative expression, giving them a way to avoid gangsterism and violence. And you know, until 5 or 6 years later, then the fucking gangsta rap MTV comes in and fucking turns it all into pimps and hoes and drugs again. Exactly what they were supposedly trying to get away from in the initial, you know, 4 elements: graffiti, hip hop, and so on. You know, now breakdancing, what was the other one? Turntablism, right? So they're creating this musical genre outside of the fucking corporate system. They're creating outsider industrial art in the city regions, you know, because they've been completely co-opted by the government corporations and fucking Andy Warhol kind of bullshit. You know, it's like they were trying to create an outlet for that, to create an authentic grassroots culture. But MTV and the military industrial complex quickly came in and gave you Flavor of Love and fucking, you know, 2 Live Crew and a bunch of perverted butt sex, basically. Like, seriously, this is what they really did. And so that's just one example, you know, but all these movements instantly become consumer movements. So now you got to buy your parachute pants and your bandanas and your whatever, gold chains and Run DMC Adidas, and, you know, it instantly turns into a consumer movement. So then the next thing for me in my youth after the breakdance and hip hop culture was skate punks. And oh my God, punk rock is one of the worst fucking examples of a fake youth movement ever. And it's completely consumer based. You got to go buy all the clothes, you got to buy the records, you got to buy all the, you know, the little safety pins and the fucking little things and your Sid Vicious fucking chain and lock around your neck like a dog collar so you can be a fucking slave and a junkie. It's like, but it's a consumer movement. It's all about what you buy and how you present this fake prefabricated self-image of who you are. And it's no different from hippies to breakdance to fucking skate punks, you know. Then they had the grunge, you know, in the 90s. That was the grunge movement, and it's the same shit. You gotta buy your plaid shirts and your fucking fucked up clothes with holes in them. And you pay extra to go buy clothes that are pre-fucked up and acid washed and have sandpaper holes worn in them. You're paying someone in Southeast Asia, slave labor, to fucking take your brand new jeans and fuck them up for you so you can look like you're edgy when you're actually a suburban fucking middle class fucking teenager. Now you look edgy and hard because you're a grunge, you know. And what are all these grunge people? You know, Kurt Cobain shooting up and blowing his fucking face off with a shotgun because of Courtney Love, his whore ass girlfriend that fucking ruined him. He could have been a decent artist, and he was a pretty good artist up to a point. But then once he got super rich and famous and got on heroin and everything, he started to realize that he was being used, just like Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon and everybody. got in, and they started wearing the clothes, try to look super gay and promote all the agendas for the 70s, Tavistock Institute and changing images of man, and transform the culture of masculinity into gayness, and flowery clothes and long hair, look like a bitch, and have your fucking super long Beatles bangs and everything. Complete psychological warfare, complete social engineering to transform the warrior masculine male who would have protected his family from all this fucking corruption that we see now. And they're planning shit 20, 30, 50, 100 years down the line. Back when Elvis the pelvis was the first phase of this feminization, and from Elvis, then you're moving into the 60s and 70s and all the long hairs and all the femininity, Robert Plant and Little Richard and Jimi Hendrix with their flowy robes and pastel colors and their super effeminate voices, and then you go new wave. Each phase is a little bit gayer. It's a little bit more feminizing of the males, and by now, if you're not a transsexual fucking Furby wearing baby pajamas, you're not edgy and cool anymore. And if you're a cisgender male who wants to procreate and have babies, that's the worst possible thing that you can be. You got to be a non-procreative transgender eating soy xenoestrogens to fucking kill your testosterone and sterilize you and carry around a cell phone that's fucking radiating your fucking testicles so you don't have viable sperm. You see, this is all a plan. But anyways, so my point is, all these youth movements are consumer movements. You have to go out and buy products, and you have to cover yourself and subsume your identity into this prefabricated cookie cutter to fit in and conform. While meanwhile, internally, you think you're rebellious and you think you're so edgy because your parents are like, what are you fucking doing? Why are you putting chemicals in your hair to turn it fucking blue and green and fucking, dress like a woman if you're a man and dress like a man if you're a woman? And of course, your parents are going to be like, what are you doing? I want to have grandkids. I want everything that I worked and slaved for my whole life to pass on to the next generation so that they'll not have to have a shitty, hard labor life as much as I did, because I was able to pass them on some inheritance that made their life a little easier, set them up with a house and some property. But now if you're a grunge digital nomad, you don't want any of that. And you're like, fuck you, mom and dad. Go buy a fucking RV and drive it around and spend off all my inheritance so that I can be a poor ass fucking junkie bum like Kurt Cobain. It's like, what is fucking going on? And the kids love this shit. If you try to tell them, hey, have you thought about maybe not being a drug addict? Have you thought maybe not being a complete sexual pervert, transgender, dolphin sexual? And they're like, no, you're such a hater. You're so, whatever the terms they would use. You're a Neanderthal. You're a caveman. And you're like, okay, well, this is what lets the human race survive for millions of years. And you're like, no, there's no genders anymore. There's 100 million genders, and your chromosomes don't determine your sexuality. It's like, what? Basic science and biology now is bad and evil, and being a transgender pervert that's on cocaine and ecstasy 24/7 and Adderall and drugs that were rebellious and edgy in the 70s, now you can go and buy in the pharmacy without a prescription. You can go buy some Adderall on the street, or you can take opioids and fucking die from fentanyl powder that you didn't even take. It's like, this is how things are going. And kids think this self-destruction, suicide, fucking transgenderism, sterilization, and fucking castrating themselves chemically with all the soy foods and George Soros and Tyson Chicken's fucking meatless future. It's like, you can't overwrite millions of years of biology by just deciding that everyone's going to abort their babies and take birth control. Like, you don't overrule biology with 50 years of fake billionaire created culture. I'm sorry, it does not work that way. You have cells, you have genetic memories, you have DNA, you have all this fucking nature around us. You have the fact that humans exist in a matrix of biology that's been created over millions and millions of years, and that we live under the same laws as squirrels and fish and fucking birds and animals. And like, there's a reason why there's gender specificity in nature. There's a reason for that. It's a good thing. It's helpful. It helps us to survive. And most importantly, the gender binaries that everyone hates, that's what makes humans work together. That's what makes humans cooperate. And because humans and all animals are naturally pretty individualistic and they're kind of out for themselves. But if you create, oh my God, gender binaries, males and females have to work together to create life, and they desire each other. They long for each other. Women long for a strong, powerful man to protect them, and men desire a soft, beautiful woman to nurture them and care for them. At the end of the day, when they're tired from fucking busting their ass and killing wild animals and fucking bringing home the meat to eat, they want a cuddly, soft woman to curl up to. They do not want Ellen DeGeneres fucking nasty hormone adrenochrome addicted Skeletor. That's not what they want. So think about that shit.